Hello guys, this is Vaish. We are going to continue the MCQ discussion. MCQ 41 to 50 will be discussed today from 2018 paper, which I tell it's the most difficult paper also. You would have understood now by seeing the 40 questions which I have already discussed. It were very weird. Okay, not only the questions but the options which were set was very difficult and students could not solve them. Okay, so everybody please watch the entire series including 2019, which was first completed. Now 2018 I'm doing, then I will do 17, 16, 15, like that in reverse order I'll be doing. And hopefully before UPSC exam 2020 I'll be doing a lot of years like this, and this will alone be sufficient, okay, for analyzing the papers. You don't have to do from any other book or anything, and this will help you score more in your prelims exam. That is my guarantee. And about subscription, some videos in our channel will now from today will be available only to those who have clicked subscribe. So do that so that you don't miss out on any benefits. And new students to this channel, just WhatsApp me so that we can start guiding you, okay, based on where you stand. So this exam, as I always tell, it is something where 1 year you have to give. Okay, it's maybe 10 months or 11 months that you have to give dedicatedly to this exam without shifting your career focus and shifting your study pattern and all. You have to like wake up on time, sleep on time, write notes, solve question papers, join a test series, do previous year papers. There are many things and which you have to do continuously. If you do it like for 1 month and then 2 months you take a gap, then third month again you do something, or in between you divert to some other competitive exam, this is like then a very difficult exam to crack. Okay, so that constancy, okay, the consistency which they tell, that is the most important thing for this exam. And all those who are disciplined will clear this exam either this year or the next year. Okay, it just takes it's just a matter of time for those students. But if you lack discipline in the first place, then how much ever knowledgeable you are, you may not clear this exam even if you do it for 2-3 years. Okay, so the point which you will be missing out is this thing, discipline. So try to bring in that discipline in your life when it comes to UPSC preparation. Okay, the first question for today is directly a Lakshmikant question. Like two statements are given and both are direct polity statements, Lakshmikant statements. So no criminal proceedings shall be instituted against governor of a state in any court during his term of office. Then the emoluments and allowances of the governor of a state shall not be diminished during his term of office. So it's both about the governor and both are true. Okay, both are direct statements, article number 158 and article number 361. So I can show you the articles. And I told you there is a website called indianqanun.com. From there you get like this, in one screen you get all the things. Okay, because any other site you go, you will have to like two classes will be in one page, then you have to turn the page and it will be there other place. But this gives you an image format like this. So go and read from there. I take all the things from there only. So if you see here, this one, the allowance of the governor shall not be diminished during his term of office. This is article 158. Okay, conditions of governor of office. You have to read all these things, like shall not hold any office of profit and shall not be a member of either house of the parliament or house of legislature. This will help you revise. Okay, whatever you see on screen, just pause it and by heart it now itself. Okay, because anything can be a statement for the next year. Okay, and article number 361. Here if you see, no criminal proceedings whatsoever shall be instituted or continued against the president or the governor in any court during his term of office. It's all very extreme statements, still it's true according to this article. Okay, so if you see here, president or governor or Raj Pramukh, which they call, so they have mentioned all the things here. Okay, and civil proceedings, there is a difference when compared to criminal proceedings. So pause this and read this paragraph so that you understand what is the difference. Okay, and no process for the arrest or imprisonment again of president or governor shall issue from any court during his term of office. So no criminal proceedings, no arrest. Okay, civil proceedings, read this. So this is about the first question, which is direct Lakshmikant question, and I hope everybody had done this, whoever have given the 2018 prelims, were not finding this question to be difficult. This one again a very straightforward question, which is there I think in your NCERT also, and in one of the medieval textbook, like I think Satish Chandra. Okay, because this is covered in almost every test series also. Like this is Kishangarh school, Bani Thani painting, which is the Indian Mona Lisa. If you know, this is the painting. The Wikipedia page also, first line itself will tell it's an Indian miniature painting by Nihal Chand from Marwar School of Kishangarh. So Kishangarh is what you have to do. Okay, some coaching institutes have given only Marwar School, so they may not know the Kishangarh, but that's why you should learn it from somewhere good. Okay, so here if this is one of the MCQs in our test series, so if you see here we have given the king name also, Raja Savan Singh Kishangarh, and that is what was asked. Okay, remaining everything is there in the question itself. Indian miniature, Nihal Chand, okay, court dancer. So all these picked up directly from here. See, inspired by Radha, Bani Thani is characterized by distinct features such as eyes like lotus, thin and sensuous lips, pointed nose. Okay, these things are all earlier UPS used to give such descriptions like this and ask you to identify. Okay, see, even Indian stamp is issued with this painting, so it's very important, and that's why UPSC have asked it. So it is Kishangarh School. Now this again current affair of that year, terminal high altitude area defense. Okay, in 2016, 17, 18 repeatedly they have picked up some of the weapon like this, and they have asked like who is it related to. Okay, it need not be Indian, so you can expect anything. And we had created a big revision chart also. Here the answer is American anti-missile system. This was in news, and see, these are all the things which we put that time in 2018 chart. Everything, okay, anything which you can imagine which came in news will be there in my test series or my chart. So if you see here, it's in South Korea by USA, terminal high altitude area defense. This is exactly what was asked. So if you simply by heart my revision charts and test series, this is what I tell you will easily score. This is like 2 marks you are getting. Okay, maybe your person sitting next to you in the exam hall never even heard about this. Okay, but this is a current affair item, and if it is a current affair, it will be there in Vaishya's materials. Okay, so question number 44. This is a difficult question, but it could have been solved by knowing one fact. Okay, so with reference to cultural history of India, they have taken 2 personalities. One is Tyagaraja and one is Annamacharya, and both were in news, and that is the reason it was asked. And as I tell, art and culture also, when you see questions, you will feel like from where these people are picking up these questions. But they are asking this because in Hindu or Indian Express, a detailed article would have come based on these people. Okay, so here the only statement you wanted to know to solve this question was like this one: Annamacharya and Tyagaraja are contemporaries. In 2019 also there was a question like this where they asked like Kabir and someone is contemporary. So whenever they put contemporary, they are purposely putting people of 2 different timeline, and it is always false. Okay, as per the trend I am telling. So if this is false, you can eliminate statement 3 and 3, and you get the answer as 2 and 4. So fourth statement is Annamacharya Kirtanas are devotional songs in praise of Lord Venkateshwara. Okay, so that's true. Then Tyagaraja created several new ragas. That's also true. Okay, so 2 and 4 are true. And this one, devotional songs in praise of Lord Krishna. I think it's not Lord Krishna. This is also related to Venkateshwara. Okay, so which is also Vishnu's thing form only. So this is wrong. Okay, and that is the answer 2 and 4 only. And this one, as I told, if that one statement you could have eliminated, you could have got the answer. So but I agree this question is difficult because you will not find these personalities in usual textbooks. Okay, this is the Wikipedia paragraph which you should study. Okay, at least the timeline if you know. And why he was in news, because the 250th anniversary happened around that time. Okay, 2018. So that is why this was there. 2017 I think. Okay, 250th anniversary. So another name, and then Carnatic music. Okay, these keywords you just by heart. Okay, like Trinity is there. I think these 2 are contemporary people, and they were called Trinity of Carnatic music, and composed thousands of this thing in Telugu of Lord Rama. Okay, in question it was Lord Krishna, so it is Lord Rama. And 5 compositions called this Pancharatna Kritis, and Reign of 4 Kings. Okay, so it's like I think Tansen or some people were there earlier who were like this, like who used to be with different kings. Okay, so all these timelines, if you see, it's all the 18th and 19th century. Okay, so he's not a very old kind of personality, but Annamacharya, if you see, it's again a little older. Okay, it's a 15th century person, so that is why it's not contemporary. And see, Lord Venkateshwara, form of Vishnu, and Carnatic music again, and these are people I think also came after him. Okay, these are people after him. And okay, that's the point. I think these are the only things which UPSC can ask. Okay, there will be nothing which will ask in the second paragraph. Always the first paragraph of a Wikipedia or that about us page of any body, that is from where UPSC will ask the question. So just by heart all these things and make notes. But my students will anyway get some new MCQs based on these personalities. Okay, so these are the news items which came. If you see, all are 2018 and 17 articles, Annamacharya, and this is Tyagaraja article, again 2018. Okay, so this is the reason they picked up those 2 personalities. So don't assume that they are going to some textbook randomly and asking some random person. They're asking because they were in news. Okay, now question number 45. Which of the following are regarded as the main features of the rule of law? This again is a very basic polity in your, I think, fundamental rights chapter itself. It is there. Okay, rule of law and equality and all those things. So it's about everybody being equal. Okay, there is no special things given to someone, or there is no dictatorship and all those things. That is called rule of law. So limitation of power, it is there. It's not like somebody has too much power. Equality before law, it is there. And liberty and civil rights, it's there. Answer is actually 1, 2 and 4. The third statement, why it's wrong? Because it is reverse. It is like people's responsibility to the government. That is like kind of duty, fundamental duty. But and here actually statement should be government's responsibility towards people. That is the reason this is false. Okay, so if you eliminate 3 also, you still couldn't solve. You still will be confused with point 1. Okay, 2 and 4 and 1, 2, 4. This is where people were confused. And as per the answer key, limitation of powers is there, meaning there is no dictatorship of the government or all those things. Okay. So that is why answer is 1, 2 and 4. It's a direct Lakshmikant thing and little analytical. In the question exam hall, you have to just think on the statements, whether it can be true or wrong. And next one. This is again a question which can be solved if you do basic economics from any NCRT or Ramesh Singh or any banking or maybe Mrinal's channel. Everywhere these things are taught, like what is legal tender money. Okay, legal tender. Why this was asked? Because cryptocurrency is not a legal tender. That statement was told by the finance minister in the budget, and that is why this was asked. Like, what is the meaning of legal tender? So it actually means the money which is legal and which is acceptable, which like everybody will accept it and nobody can tell like, no, I won't take it, I won't accept it. That's the meaning of legal tender. Okay, so here the money which a creditor is under compulsion to accept in settlement of his claims, that is the thing called legal tender money. But now why the other things are false? Okay, like the metallic money, like you can tell metallic money, like coins, that is also legal only, everybody has to accept. But there is a Coinage Act, and as per Coinage Act, you cannot take it beyond a limit. It's not like you can suppose you have 1 rupee coin, you cannot take 1 lakh 1 rupee coins and go to bank and tell here is my money, please deposit. They won't accept it. There is a clause in Coinage Act where I think 100 coins or 1000 coins, something like that. If it's a 1 rupee coin, these many coins. If it's a 50 paise coin, these many coins. There is a rule. Okay, so you should know that, because you will see in social media and all, there are clips like that where people in big sacks and all, they will carry coins and go. But that is not allowed in Indian Act. Okay, you cannot carry like that. So it need not be a legal tender always. That is why this is false. Now bank money in the form of checks, draft and this thing. Okay, money can be a thing, legal tender, but check need not be accepted. Everybody need not tell like I will take check from you. Many people can tell I don't want check, I want cash, or I want online payment, I can do anything. So this is also not legal tender all the time. Okay. Then money which is tendered in courts of law to defray the fees of legal cases. This they just made it up, something like this. Okay, so because the word legal and tender is there, they just mixed it up with legal cases and court and tried to make a statement. Okay, so legal tender is a fiat money which cannot be refused by any citizen of the country for settlement of any kind of transaction. And this fiat money means there are different types of money. Okay, that's what I'm telling NCRT and Ramesh Singh. If you do, you will know types of money. And fiat money is a currency established as money, often by government regulation. Okay, so that's why it is legal. But that does not have intrinsic value. Intrinsic value means you cannot like melt your coin and then that silver you cannot go and sell, or that metal you cannot go and sell. That is the intrinsic value meaning. It is about the face value. Okay, that is what is considered legally. And checks, as I told, it can be refused as a mode of payment settlement. So that's also not full-time legal tender. So hope it's clear. Okay, these are very basics of economics which they usually don't ask, but 2018 they asked. That's why I told 2018 questions were little in-depth and analytical. You have to analyze all the 4 options. Question number 47, again difficult. They are asking about the opportunity cost. Okay, they have picked up some terms like this. I'll show you more in the upcoming MCQ. So if a commodity is provided free to the public by the government, then what is the opportunity cost? Okay, meaning you are giving something for free. For example, the street lights in your locality, it's all, you are not paying for the street light. Okay, but it's free. So if it is free, somebody would be taking the money for that. No, somebody would be paying it. So it will be like from where it is coming. So here the answer was confusion actually. It's like first thing is it's 0. It's not 0. Obviously there is a cost. So this is wrong. It is ignored. It's not ignored. Government will obviously cover it up with some expenses. So from somewhere money has to come. So here the opportunity cost is transferred from the consumers of the product to the tax paying public. And here the same thing they are telling to the government. So here it was confusion. We were also waiting for the answer key. And now the answer key has come like it is the tax paying public, because some people are paying tax and using that tax money only some provisions are being made. Okay, like from the rich people tax is collected, and then for the poor and middle class people it is the benefits are given. That's how a country will work, and that's totally valid also. So finally, even though like tax paying people does not decide where this money will go, that is why the confusion was there. Everybody thought it is government, because government is the one who decides where the benefit should go. So finally UPSC is telling the answer is C. Okay, the opportunity cost is going to tax paying public. So this is a part of microeconomics which you usually don't study. Class 12 there is a textbook of microeconomics also. Now also I'm telling, don't waste your time on studying this if you have till now not studied, because very rarely questions come from there. Okay, there are definitions like free goods, common goods, public goods and all. Like free good means air, like anybody can take it and there is no limit. Common good means like fishes are there in your lake or something, you can go fishing. But difference between free goods and common goods is air will not get expired, but fishing, like fish can get expired, so people can fight with each other. Okay, so that is there. Public good means the street light thing, okay, which I told. So there the opportunity cost is bared by the taxpayer. That's the learning for you. So at least what is given here, by heart it, and if you have time and if you're interested, go and study microeconomics, especially if your economics are optional. Okay, else I don't think it's like for 2 marks you have to do such a lot of reading of these kind of terminologies. Okay, but it's a difficult question and you can skip it and it's totally fine if you don't know. Now again, economics. Increase in absolute and per capita real GNP, that is gross national product, do not connote a higher level of economic development if. Okay, so here it's a very basic concept which they are testing. There is a thing called economic growth and economic development, which even I have taught you in my test series. It is there. It's a dimensioning chapter 2 or 3, and in NCERT also it will be there. So here they are asking development, okay, will not happen if what. Okay, so here the easiest way is you should understand what is growth and what is development. Growth means it can be positive growth and negative growth. Okay, meaning it is just the quantity or the money or something which is there. But development means along with that, people should have a better life. Okay, like poverty should go away, employment should be improved, the facility should be provided. That is called development. So here only one option is there which is related to that. Okay, poverty and unemployment increases. If this increases, you cannot tell that this will be definitely giving economic development. Okay, so but other things, if you see, it's all about the output input thing they are telling, everything. So by the options, this question was easy. Okay, because only one option is there, which is actually explaining the development factor. So only thing you wanted to know is growth versus development, and keep this in mind because UPSC will again form such kind of questions. Okay, hope it's clear. Question number 49. Again, this was easy because human capital, you all know what is human capital. Like people have good knowledge, good skills or coding skills or anything if you are good in, then you are called the human capital. You have even HR, human resource management manager in every company. So human capital is that. So they're asking better explained in terms of which one, which enables what. Okay, so individuals of a country to accumulate more capital. Capital is money. Just because more money or more machinery, that does not mean you are human capital. Okay, but increasing the knowledge, skill levels and capacity of the people of the country, that is called human capital. Now two things they have put, tangible and intangible, and you will obviously know tangible means which you can touch and intangible which you cannot touch. So tangible means it is things like this like house, or you have a good vehicle or a good properties. These are all tangible wealth, but that does not come in human capital. Okay, so 1 and 3 is not there. If you eliminate 1 and 3, this will go and this will go, but still 2 and 4 is there. So this was again confusing part for students last year, and now when the answer key came, answer key is 2 and 4. Okay, so accumulation of intangible wealth is there, meaning these are all intangible skills which you have, which you cannot touch but you have it. Okay, so answer is 2 and 4, human capital. So everybody who have watched this video till this moment, you will all get a 3 free test by just sending an email. Okay, this like this, there are hidden goodies in almost every video, so go and watch every video, and these are only for those students who watch till the end and watch regularly. Okay, so 3 free tests. Just send a mail with subject this thing to this email ID. You will get February, April, June current affair totally free. Okay, it's like I think 150 or 100 plus pages each, so it's like 300-400 pages of notes. Okay, of the entire current affairs, and lot of questions will come in the 2020 and 21 exams from these things. So last question for today, again conceptual, like you learned the opportunity cost. There's one thing called capital output ratio. So this one again, by the English literal definition, you could have solved it. Okay, like despite having a high saving economy, capital formation may not result in significant increase in output due to, meaning you have high saving, okay, and capital formation is also happening, but still you don't have output. Why? That is what they're asking. So here if you go the reverse method by taking each option and fitting into the question, what is this capital output ratio? When you tell ratio, obviously capital will be in the numerator and output will be in the denominator, right? Capital output ratio. So if you take this capital output ratio, what is this, when can this be high? Capital, because option is given high. This high means capital should be high and output should be low. Okay, that's how, when like suppose you take 5 by 2, when will this value be high? Whenever this numerator increases, you make this as 10 by 2 or you make this as 5 by 1. Okay, whenever you increase the numerator or decrease the denominator, that is when the overall output will become high. So that means capital is increasing, output is decreasing. Okay, so here if you see, despite having a high saving economy, capital formation, okay, capital formation may not result in significant increase in output due to. So that means you need more capital to create 1 unit of output. Okay, suppose first one case is there where 5 capital is required for 1 output. Okay, and if you tell high capital output ratio means you need 10 capital for 1 output, numerator is increasing. Okay, that means it will obviously not result in significant output. Okay, even though saving is high. So So there is actually an economic concept also, but I'm just telling you with the common sense how can you solve. There is an economic concept called this model, okay, Harrod model, where you will see this. Okay, the economic growth depends on two things: level of savings and capital output ratio. Okay, and there is a formula also. I'm not sure if I remember correctly. Something like savings is equal to growth into capital output ratio. Okay, something like this. So now what they're asking about the significant increase. So they're asking about the growth. So if you take growth alone, it is like growth is equal to savings by capital output. So if high capital output is there, here denominator, high capital output is there, and savings is increasing no matter, the denominator is increasing too much, that means growth will go down. So they are telling formation may not result in increase in output due to. Okay, I don't know whether you have understood the concept, but this is a very rarely, like they will ask this kind of technical kind of question. But with common sense, with the numerator denominator thing, you can understand this. Else, this is the technical thing of it, which I am not expecting you to study also, because I don't think any other question came in the other few years, okay, related to these kind of topics, capital output ratio or these things. So this is it for today, question number 50. 2020 batch can contact us for any of these packages, because the offers are ending. Okay, after that it will be again the other price, and or you can come and enroll to the 1 year course, 1 year 2021 test series. And about the postponement of exams, many students are asking query. Already a video is there, you can go and watch that video, which like the MP Subramaniam Swamy has already written to the Prime Minister to cancel and postpone all the exams till December, till November. Okay, November mid. So we'll wait for the updates. You can watch that video again of whatever is there in public domain now. So I'll come up with the next video soon. Till then, enjoy your learning. Thank you and have a nice day.